Welcome to our second and final lesson on the character of Inspector Goole in An Inspector Calls. Today, we will explore the Inspector as a supernatural force. We will first explore how the Inspector is presented as omnipotent, which means all-knowing. We will then discuss the significance of the Inspector's name, then how the use of foreshadowing and stagecraft contributes to his mysterious demeanor, and analyze the haunting nature of his pronouncements. By the end of the lesson, you'll have a deeper understanding of the sense of mystery, doom, and omnipotence that surrounds Inspector Goole. Let's dive in! Let's start by looking at how Inspector Goole is presented as an omnipotent or all-knowing character. In the play, Sheila has a moment where she says,
"Why, you fool, he knows. Of course he knows. And I hate to think how much he knows that we don't yet. You'll see. You'll see."
This quote shows Sheila's fear and respect for the Inspector's knowledge. Her hysterical laughter suggests that she's terrified by how much the Inspector seems to know, which makes him seem almost supernatural. The repetition of "you'll see" adds a sense of impending doom or foreboding, making the other characters, and us, the audience, feel uneasy about what the Inspector will reveal next. Also, this phrase hints that both the audience and the characters are unaware of many things that the Inspector already knows. This not only showcases his omnipotence, but also sets him apart as a supernatural force in the play. By creating this sense of mystery and fear around the Inspector, the playwright, J.B. Priestley, effectively makes him seem like a powerful, otherworldly figure who knows more than any human could. How far do you think his name relates to his otherworldly quality? Well, in a play where the other characters have the names we might expect, none of them symbolically loaded, the name Goole for the Inspector stands out. Let's look at a definition. A ghoul is a demon-like being or monstrous humanoid, often associated with graveyards and the consumption of human flesh. A ghoul is far more ill-mannered and foul than the commonly mistaken goblin. The concept originated in pre-Islamic Arabian religion. Could there be a connection between a ghoul as a demon-like being and the name Inspector Goole? Well, our Inspector Goole is not a consumer of human flesh so far as we can tell, but his association with graveyards is given the modern context of a mortuary where Eva Smith has tragically ended up. The Burling family certainly regard him as ill-mannered and foul, but those are qualities we might ultimately see in them. Arguably then, Priestley chose the name because it invoked a ghostly, thus spiritual being. Ultimately, a kind of god who points out both the nature of human error and the interconnectivity of human beings. Furthermore, another way Priestley adds to Inspector Goole's air of the supernatural is through the use of foreshadowing and stagecraft. At the beginning of the play, the stage directions state, the lighting should be pink and intimate until the Inspector arrives, and then it should be brighter and harder. This is not the only reference to light in relation to the Inspector. Later in Act 1, when Edna announces the Inspector's arrival at the Burling household, Mr. Burling says,
"All right, Edna. Show him in here. Give us some more light."
This change in lighting signifies a shift from a cozy, comfortable atmosphere to one that is more revealing and harsh, suggesting that the Inspector's arrival will bring hidden truths to light. This is reinforced when Mr. Burling says,
"All right, Edna. Show him in here. Give us some more light."
While Mr. Burling's request seems simple and literal, it also has a deeper symbolic meaning. By inviting the Inspector in, he is unknowingly inviting scrutiny and the unveiling of secrets. In this way, the lighting change and Mr. Burling's words foreshadow the unraveling of the family's facade and their eventual downfall, adding to the sense that the Inspector's investigation is driven by fate or a supernatural force. Let's now look at how the Inspector presents himself as a supernatural force through the haunting nature of his pronouncements. In his final speech, the Inspector declares,
"And I tell you that the time will soon come when, if men do not learn that lesson, then they will be taught it in fire and blood and anguish. Good night."
Notice the use of the impersonal plural pronoun, they. By saying they instead of we, the Inspector separates himself from the people he speaks about, almost like he is above or apart from them, creating an image of an alien or otherworldly figure. In this way, the Inspector removes himself from the earthly population, taking on a godlike position that suggests he is a supernatural force delivering a divine warning. And that brings us to the end of today's lesson, students. We explored how Inspector Goole is portrayed as an all-knowing, omnipotent figure. We discussed how Priestley may have symbolically chosen the name Goole in reference to a ghoul as a ghostly spiritual being. We then analysed the stage directions about lighting and Mr. Burling's quote to explore how foreshadowing and stagecraft contribute to the inspector's mysterious aura, and finally how his prophetic language sets him apart as a supernatural force. Remember to keep revising this lesson and see you next time. Congratulations for completing all of the character lessons in an Inspector Calls. You have received the Character Champion badge, which you can now view in your dashboard. Keep up the good work. Watch the rest of the GCSE English Literature course at Sophos Education,